Welcome to the Lowdown Podcast, the show where we dive deep into the topics that directly impact the evolving originator. I'm your host, Connor Bartley. Bam! And joining me today is someone I'm really excited to connect with. A few things that stand out about him. 9 years with the same lender, extremely loyal. Nearly 25% growth year over year in his annual production. And client reviews that highlight how his continued communication, support, and knowledge made the entire process seamless. So, Drew Ferguson, welcome to the Lowdown. Really happy you're here, man.
Awesome to be with you, Connor. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you joining, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation. Of course, you've caught my eye, and we've exchanged some things on LinkedIn and all that stuff, and kind of built a little bit of a friendship there. But I love talking with people who are, at your stage of career, figuring things out, growing, and kind of getting through the muck of it. There's a dip that happens, right? In anything, at the very beginning, if you're naturally talented, you're really good at it, and you pick things up really fast. And then things get hard and you have a choice. Do I stay on this side of the dip and just kind of stay where I'm comfortable and things are going well? Or do I work my way through it and get through it? And then, because on the other side is another exponential growth. And you strike me as somebody who's getting through it and on your way out and up. So before we dive into that, let's learn a little bit about you, man. What are some of how'd you get into the business? What brought you to mortgage? What are some of the things that the audience can learn about you?
Sure. Let's see. I graduated from college in 2013, and I don't know if I'm like most people or not, but I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life post-grad. I lobbied hard to go caddy at a golf course and live in Charleston, but that got shot down by my parents, although I'd probably still be doing that. If that was the case, my life would look a little bit different. But when I graduated college, I moved to Charlotte and I got a job in IT recruiting. And I did that for about 18 months. And
sorry, man.
I did what every smart 23-year-old does. And I quit without a new job lined up, still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. At that point, I knew the financial industry interested me and kind of lit me up a little bit. And so I just started looking into how I could do that. So I looked into a program with Vanguard about how you could kind of get your Series 7 and start to do some, initial stuff, maybe from a financial planning side. And then ultimately ended up finding a online lender in Charlotte called Wyndham Capital, which if you meet a loan officer in Charlotte that's under 40, they probably work there at some point. And that was my introduction to mortgage. They had a start date 3 months before Vanguard did. It was an easy decision for someone who needed to go make a paycheck.
Right.
So I had no clue about the industry, what it was about, other than the fact that, hey, this is how people get money to buy houses. So they had like an awesome training program in terms of here's how you're going to get licensed, here's how you're going to pass the test, and here's, what the first few months look like. And I worked there for about a year, and I'll be honest with you, I thought I was going to quit mortgages after a year. I did not. There's some wonderful loan officers that work in that environment. That's just not me at all. And so we had actually someone who had left the company and gone over to the company that I've been with for 9 years, Movement. And they were just looking to bring some loan officers on. They were, at the time, I just kind of came over and did some employee loans for the company for about 9 months. Then I just met this guy. He's my market leader still today, a great friend, great mentor. And he was just nudging me. He's like, what are you doing sitting behind a desk? He's like, come on, let's go, man. Let's go. You need to be in retail, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, all right, dude, whatever, let's do it. So he finally convinced me, and been in the retail side since 2017. And that was the best decision I ever made.
Man, I love that. One, I love that someone had the blessing of someone that saw it in you and pushed you towards it. Not everybody has that. And it's so, for anyone who's listening right now that is a leader in the industry, I highly encourage that, because Drew is a testament to that. And if you can see it in someone, let them know, speak it into them, give them that confidence of you can do it. You just got to take that first step. But then hats off to you, Drew, for doing it. Because there's a lot of other people that would say, you know what, this is comfortable. This is easy. This is something I'm doing now. And I don't want to take that step into the unknown. So, it takes action to get what you want. And so that's really great. And so now that you've been, growing and kind of learning your way through this business and starting to figure things out, what have been some of your greatest lessons learned to this point so far?
I think that, initially the greatest lesson anyone can learn in this business, I actually learned from my LOA, who I've been with since 2017, and we have a tremendous relationship with today, named Amanda. I think it's natural for loan officers to feel like they have to be involved in every aspect of the process. Like, oh, what's the condition sheet say? Oh, we got to go get this bank statement. She looked at me one day and she said, I don't know if I can say this or not, but get the hell out of my loans. That's what she told me. She said, get the hell out of my loans and go find me some more. And that's literally probably the best piece of advice I ever got in this business was,
love that.
Hey, you got a great team behind you. They're going to handle every piece of the minutia that's not your strength, that you don't like to do anyway. So get out of the way and let them perform.
Yeah.
And go focus on what you're good at, which is talking to people and structuring loans and talking.
So how did that change things for you? Did that give you the permission you needed to go out and prospect more, or what was then like the new life as a loan officer like for you after that moment?
I don't know if it was necessary permission as much as it just was like, yo, stop babysitting your loans. Like you're not going to move the needle in 5 minutes or 15 minutes or an hour, like working on a file, unless there's an urgent issue that needs to be resolved.
Right.
So you move the needle by meeting more people, talking to more people, and having conversations about financing with people who are needing mortgages. So I don't know if it was much permission as much as just like, I just need to hear that and go out and focus on that, because I don't like looking at bank statements anyway. So I don't know why I'm sitting here trying to find them, right? Like our title is loan originator, not paperwork processor.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a hard lesson for a lot of people to learn, man. Like the delegation part of growth is, I think, what most people struggle with. You build to a certain level where you're in control of everything. Like you get so used to doing it all that then you kind of reach that tipping point of, I can't continue to do it all and produce at a higher level. And so you have to start giving it up if you want to grow. You've been charmed, man. You've got a couple really great people kind of pushing you, man. That's great.
Hopefully that's life, right? You want to surround yourself by good people that you trust and that see. Sometimes you need other people to see the best in you, because I think it's maybe difficult for us sometimes to see it in us. So it's good to hear it from other people for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to butcher the quote, but I know the quote that my CEO loves. He says it's his favorite. It's a Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'm going to paraphrase. I might get it right, but our greatest want in life is to have someone make us do what we're capable of. Something like that. So sure. Just finding someone that will actually give you that push. So I'm just curious, how are you growing your business? Like in your market, is it more community based? Because you've mentioned a couple of times just having more conversations, being in front of more people. And I'm just kind of curious, like, what are you focused on when it comes to silos of the business or the way that you get out and prospect?
Yeah. Majority of our business probably still comes from real estate agents. We've made a push to take better care of our past clients and make sure that we're staying in front of them, because quite frankly, we weren't doing a great job at that. And
yeah, join the club.
We're still not doing a tremendous job at it, but we're doing a better job of it. So I'm proud of that. And then over the last couple of years, I just, I think a lot of us have probably seen this shift of, hey, new construction with their incentives are making homes more affordable for people. So we've got a couple of builders we do some stuff with as well. And that probably accounts for about 20% of our business, and 80% of our business coming from agents primarily. And then obviously we mix in some past client stuff for refinances or new purchases. But would love to increase that to more like 20 or 30% of our business here as we continue to get better at it.
So as you've gone through this journey, what are some of the stumbling blocks that you found, and how have you overcome some of those? I mean, what used to really trip you up that today you look back on and go, man, I can't believe that used to be a problem for me. I got that under control now.
I think it's probably natural that a loan officer lives with a little bit of anxiety of what's coming next. But I think I've done a better job over the years of, not freaking out if we only have a few deals going in the pipeline, and understanding that we're doing the right actions and we're talking to the right people, that opportunities come. And almost anytime the pipeline gets lower than we want it to, we find a way to fill it back up. So I would say the stumbling blocks are just like pure self-belief. Like you just have to understand that, like, even if I'm not getting a desired result today, did I take the actions necessary to get a desired result 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now? And I think that's hard to see sometimes, because you want everyone wants the immediate gratification of, I did this. Why didn't it work today? And you're like, well, it might have worked today. You might just not find out for 45 days that it worked.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one of the bigger challenges of our industry is knowing that having that patience with the longer sales cycle. When we live in a long feedback loop kind of world, there's a guy I've talked with on the show before, Skylar Wallace, who made the comment about short feedback loops and long feedback loops in sales. And a short feedback loop example would be like a car salesman, somebody who's standing on the lot, people walk in, you might, walk up to 15, 20 people a day, do your spiel, try and get them in a test drive, whatever, and it just fail over and over again. But you can always sort of adjust and kind of look back on what you said and see if, maybe next time if I say it this way or say something else and try it out the next time, and you'll always have another opportunity. And mortgage is a little different. You don't get quite as many at bats, especially on a daily basis, let alone anything that, you get immediate feedback on like that. So, when it can take 45, 60 days to get a loan and take everybody through that process, not to mention how long it might take for someone to shop for a house, it could take a long time.
Yeah.
How do you where do you find patience in that? How do you manage kind of that cycle? Because I don't think I've ever really asked anybody that question, but I'm curious now that we're on the topic.
I think that's probably been like one of the biggest areas of growth in my career over the last 5 years is understanding patience is a good thing in this business. A couple of reasons I say that. One, I've been fortunate enough to marry a great woman that is really good at what she does as well. She's got a solid salary, so I feel like I don't need to live and die with every single deal.
Sure.
So that frees me up to be just completely myself and give solid financial advice. And whether they decide to work with us or not, I'm not worried about my bills getting paid every month. So I find patience probably through, honestly, like good personal financial discipline over the last 5 or 7 years, where you're like, okay, I've built this up. Like, I don't have to live and die with every deal that comes through. Now, of course, we want to try to capture every deal, but I also know the reality is you're not going to bat 100% when you're doing mortgage loans, right? So we've put a big focus on just like increasing conversion rate over the years, that solves for patience. I think if you can convert the leads you get at a high level, then I think that takes care of a lot.
So is there anything in particular that you've done to help increase that? Because that's huge. I mean, you're 100% right on that. If you can take less leads and convert more of them, you're living in a good space there.
I think it's because of the way we conversate with our clients about mortgages, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I think the average loan officer talks to their client and says, here's your interest rate, here's your payment, here's your cash to close. And, hope and pray that you got the lowest rate and they come back to you and they want to work with you. Our conversations are more centered around like total financial picture with people and trying to help them understand that, hey, the average American has the majority of their net worth locked up in an ultimately illiquid asset. That's their primary residence, right? And so helping people understand that, hey, if we do a refinance and we save you $500 or $600 a month, can we divert some of those savings into other investments? Well, hey, here's what it looks like if you just get average market returns over the history of the stock market. Here's what your net worth looks like in 15 years. Here's what it looks like if you put 15% down instead of putting 40% down on your house. And the payments aren't, they're certainly different, but they're not as wildly different as people expect them to be. So just trying to look at help people grow their net worth outside of just their house is a conversation that we have frequently with our clients. And I think that makes a big difference because it's a different, I'd take our chances of if they talk to us and we have that conversation and they go talk to 2 other loan officers, I think there's a pretty good chance our conversation is going to be wildly different.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's a difference between different and better, right? If you play the game of better, then someone can always be better than you. And like to your point about lowest rate, very rarely, if ever, will you have the lowest rate in town. I've always said the lowest rate will be the last person they talk to. Yep. It's going to be the last rate they hear, right? So it's really hard to play the game of better. But when you can be different, better is kind of irrelevant, and it kind of comes along with different. If you're the right kind of different, if you're offering something that is, higher level, higher value, and paints a clearer picture and a more complex one, we're looking at things in 4D instead of just two-dimensionally, then yeah, you stand out quite a bit. And the value that comes with that service, really makes a difference to that client. I know just from personal experience, when I've only bought a house once, still live in it. It's been, I don't know, 17 years. But I can remember going back into that process that the people that took the time to tell me the questions I should be asking and, walked me through were ultimately the people that I ended up doing business with, because they took a better interest in me holistically, and it made an impression on me. So I think that's really smart what you're doing.
Well, I don't think, like, for every loan officer out there, that doesn't insulate us from people going and shopping, right? But what it does give us the chance to do is let us take last look at anything you have, and let me point out something that maybe they didn't talk to you about, right? Let me point out why you paying 2 points on this loan and it takes you 6 years to break even on it maybe isn't the best thing for you, right? And so it earns us at least a last look. And listen, man, like, there's been times where if I can't get it matched up or I can't do it, like, tell people that's a great loan. Go take it for you and your family. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
I wish we could bill hourly, but we can't.
Right? Like, you don't want to talk someone out of a good deal.
That's right.
Yeah. So, that's wise and really good of you. Do you use any tools to go along with that, or like, are you guys using total cost analysis or mortgage coach, things like that, or MBS Highway? How do you show that to a client?
Primarily mortgage coach. We use mortgage coach pretty heavily on our team. I think it just visually breaks everything down so nicely for a client that it's easy to understand, instead of just getting 3 different fee sheets and then being structured wildly different and then being like, what the heck am I looking at here?
Right.
So I think the total cost analysis is really nice. I think in a busy world, as much as we'd love to do options presentations 100% of the time with people on a Zoom call or something like that, people have 2 or 3 kids, and they're of course worried about buying their new house, but they're worried about what their kids are eating for dinner that night.
Right.
To be able to embed a video within Mortgage Coach that explains each option and allows them to look at it on their time at 8:00 at night I think that's probably the most valuable tool we use. And then, we use MBS Highway as well. I think it provides some nice graphics for people, primarily showing like home appreciation growth, cost of waiting, stuff like that. And why that's important to be considering that we don't see it quite as often. We still see it some in Charlotte, but hey, if I'm offering over ask price, how long, does it take 12 months for me to break even on this? Does it take me 8 years to break even on this? Like, what does that look like? Because if it's a year, if you're going to be in the house for 10 years, who cares? Right. Like, if you're going to be in the house for 3 years, maybe we shouldn't do this.
Right. Yeah. So something that I have found, the more I talk with, producers that are growing and getting into that top producer range, is that they play games they can win. The quote that really struck a chord with me a long time ago was, amateurs will play every game and professionals will play the games they win. You see it on the golf course, right? I'm not a big golf guy, but I know that there are some courses that some of the top players just will refuse to play because they know it's not their kind of course. So I'm just curious, what's that for you? Is there a game out there that you can win, and that's just, you're going to stay in that lane, or have you gotten to that?
Yeah, I would say we're there. Overwhelming majority of our business is probably A+ conventional paper.
Okay, yeah.
That we write. And part of that is experience, part of that's protection of time, part of that is, honestly, I want to be able to sleep at night knowing that I write good loans for people.
Yeah.
This is no knock on anybody, but like, some of my biggest pet peeves in this industry are, like a self-employed borrower that's got a ton of money in the bank, but they don't show much on tax returns. Gets scrutinized so much harder than someone who's going to close with $100 to their name and a high debt ratio. And I'm just like, where does common sense come into some of this as well? And, that's sometimes I'll, quite frankly, like I've told people, I don't think it's a good idea for them to buy a house. And then you see them buying a house on Facebook in 3 months and you go, somebody wrote the loan, but I want to sleep at night knowing that if you miss a shift at work, you ain't stressing about missing your mortgage payment.
Yeah. Well, I love that, man. I mean, that's just the sign of someone who cares about their community. And again, it kind of goes back to that abundance mentality. Like, to your point, when you don't have to fight, scratch, claw, for everything. I can remember working as a recruiter in 2008. Okay. And financial crisis, all this stuff. Like that was really the first adult experience I had with a challenging market, right? And it was eye opening to me because I graduated college in 2005. So here I am, 2.5 years out of college, and in the real world now, and starting to realize that during tough times, some people will do things that you would never expect them to do that would really surprise you. And it was disappointing to learn that. Having the ability to not have to feel like you need to go there ever that's an advantage. So anyway, that's a whole other topic we could, talk about in the future. But listen, man, I don't want to keep you too long. I love what you've shared. Do you have any parting words for anyone who might be listening today? Is just some wisdom that you could share, or anything that you feel that we didn't talk about that you were hoping to talk about?
Yeah, I think this is something that I've probably uncovered about myself over the last few years. I think it's very easy as a loan officer when you get started or you're younger in your career, you think, my sales manager wants me to hear, they want to hear that I want to be $100 million producer. I want to be a huge producer, right? And it's okay if you don't want to be, right? Like find your number that you need to, live your life, invest your money, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and then set a plan to work towards that. I think being honest with yourself about what you're capable of, what you're willing to work towards is very freeing because you don't put this outside pressure on yourself to be someone you're not. So that would be my words of encouragement is just sit down, look yourself in the mirror. It's a hard exercise to do of who am I? What am I about? How many families do I want to help this year? How much money do I want to make? And let's work towards a plan towards that. And that might be doing 10 million in production. That might be doing 100 million in production. Being honest about who you are and where you want to spend your time is important to actually be able to execute on things.
Yeah. I couldn't have put it better myself, man. That's amazing advice. So I hope if you're listening, take it to heart. It is important. We're in an industry that glorifies the top 1% and all of this, and I think it's great. But to your point, some people, it's just as important to get the bills paid, put a little money in the bank, go on vacation, and go to the kids' soccer practice. And there's a balance that's more important than being, a top 1%er. So up to you, of course, but I think that's great. Be honest with yourself and really set the number, and don't set an expectation of yourself for someone else that you don't really believe in. So anyway, thanks for that, man. Drew, I appreciate the time. It was great talking with you. Thanks for coming on the lowdown. It's great to finally meet you, and thanks for being a part of this, man.
Thanks for having me on, Connor. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.